Reading the headlines for this hour on VTV News. Prime Minister visit Vietnamese community in Australia. Significant increase in foreign direct investment in early 2024. In our war news, Palestine dismisses Israel conclusions of Gaza food aid incident investigation.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 3 p.m. local time in Hanoi. You're watching VTV News. Within the framework of his official visit to Australia, Prime Minister Phie met with representatives of the Vietnamese community in Australia. With about 350,000 Vietnamese people in Australia, this is the third largest overseas Vietnamese community after the United States and Japan. The fifth largest foreign community in Australia, Vietnam is also the fourth most popular language in Australia. Representatives of Vietnamese community in Australia expressed their excitement and pride in their homeland, especially when Vietnam, Australia upgraded their relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership during the Prime Minister visit. The Prime Minister hopes that people will continue to work together, unite and join hands to build a strong, developed and united community, uphold national pride, strive for excellence, actively integrate, comply with the law and contribute to the development of the coast country, and at the same time always look towards the homeland. Exports are thriving due to a steady influx of new orders. Another promising aspect is the attraction of foreign direct investment (FDI). In the first 2 months of the year, Vietnam experienced a total FDI inflow of nearly $4.3 billion, marking a substantial 38.6% increase compared to the same period last year. This demonstrates the strong interest of foreign investors in Vietnam. During the regular government's meeting in February, Prime Minister Phie underscored the need to continue creating favorable conditions to intake foreign investors.
This Korean investor is finalizing the construction of a third factory in Thanh Hoa province, with a total investment of $10 million. This project, slated to be the company's quickest to commence operations.
We chose a clean land fund, particularly focusing on highly synchronized transportation infrastructure, from the new highway access to airports and seaports. Local and provincial authorities have supported us in speeding up the investment procedures and land leases.
In February 2023, Central Patana, a leading Thai retail real estate brand, officially established a legal entity in Vietnam. This move is seen as an expansion of their investment, following their parent group's announcement to invest nearly $1.5 billion in the Vietnamese retail market by 2027.
In the Asian region, Vietnam is among the most optimistic retail markets we observe, even in a difficult context. The income of Vietnamese consumers is increasing, especially in areas outside of big cities. There is still a lot of room for growth. We will just have to wait longer for the market to bounce back.
Investment capital is primarily directed towards provinces and cities with key FDI attractions. Hanoi leads the pack with around $914 million in registered investment capital, 24 times higher than the same period last year.
Investment capital in Hanoi witnessed a remarkable surge in the first 2 months of the year compared to the same period last year, demonstrating local efforts to attract FDI, especially high-quality capital flows.
The foreign direct investment, FDI, in Vietnam for the first 2 months of 2024 is estimated to reach $2.8 billion, an increase of 9.8% compared to the same period last year. This is the highest level of FDI realized in a 2-month span in the past 5 years.
In the first 2 months of 2024, $2.8 billion in foreign direct investment FDI was disbursed, marking a 9.8% increase from the same period last year. This is the highest amount of realized FDI capitals for this period in the past 5 years. To further encourage foreign capital inflows, three key strategies have been identified: developing human resources, reforming the business investment environment, and improving infrastructure. More to follow.
In the first 2 months of the year, industrial parks in Hanoi attracted a significant foreign direct investment project, amassing a total of $66 million in capital. Notably, the time taken to process administrative procedures has been significantly reduced.
Certain administrative procedures that previously required 13 working days have now been streamlined to just 7 days. Notably, for the recent project initiated in early 2024, licensing procedures were completed within 24 hours of receiving valid documentation from the investor.
Numerous localities are stressing the need to prioritize infrastructure development and accelerate the execution of large-scale infrastructure projects.
The province maintains policies to support investors, particularly in expanding industrial land resources and bolstering infrastructure. These measures are tailored to encourage businesses not only to scale up their production but also to attract enterprises within their supply chains.
We need to step up the acceleration of site clearance in industrial zones to create clean spaces for investors to come and expand their production. Moreover, we must speed up the construction of essential infrastructure in industrial zones, such as the electricity grid and traffic systems.
Recently, the government has introduced numerous innovative policies, which have been approved by the National Assembly. Newly adopted policies, such as the land law and the bidding law, will enhance investment promotion activities. Additionally, amendments to immigration regulations and visa procedures have proven effective in encouraging international investors to expand their operations in Vietnam.
Phie is planning to hand over the entire site for the Quy Nhơn, Chi Thạnh and Chi Thạnh Vân Phong expressway projects to the investor by March 15. As of March this year, Phie had transferred nearly 88 kilometers of land to investors, accounting for more than 97% of the total. Specifically, more than 40 kilometers have been handed over for the Quy Nhơn Chi Thạnh project, representing over 96% completion. For the Chi Thạnh Vân Phong project, more than 47 kilometers have been transferred, reaching nearly 99% completion. The locality is actively clearing the remaining land and is prepared to enforce legal provisions against organizations and individuals who are causing delays. Additionally, Phie has completed the construction of 10 out of 12 resettlement areas. Hoàng Sa Paracels and Trường Sa Partly are traditional fishing grounds for Vietnamese offshore fishing fleets. Many fishing families in Quảng Ngãi have built their life around the sea, driving substantial income for its aquatic resources. This serves as a significant incentive for them to preserve their fishing grounds and help safeguard the national sea and island sovereignty. More to follow.
This spacious house in the coastal village is owned by fisherman Nguyễn Văn Bưng in Bình Sơn district. He spent over 4 decades working diligently on the Hoàng Sa fishing grounds to earn it. Following the family tradition, Bung's sons also chose a life at sea in pursuit of plentiful catches.
Fishing is not only about earning an income, but also about safeguarding the sovereignty of the country's sea and islands. I've spent most of my life doing this job. I'm counting on my son to continue this family tradition.
Fisherman Nguyễn Sáu, with over 30 years of experience in the Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa fishing grounds, has used his maritime profession to lift his family out of poverty.
The Hong Sa and Truong Sa Islands are crucial parts of the national territory. Therefore, fishing communities also make efforts to secure the country's territorial integrity.
In 2023, Quảng Ngãi total aquaculture output exceeded 273,000 tons. The combined output from the two fishing grounds of Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa accounted for nearly 70% of the total. This indicates the abundance of aquatic resources in these two areas.
Fishermen earn a plentiful income from the Hong Sa and Truong Sa fishing grounds. We always encourage the fishing community's presence in Hong Sa and Truong Sa, integral parts of the Vietnamese Sea.
coastal communities in Quảng Ngãi province persist in passing on their maritime occupations to future generations. They see these professions as not just jobs, but also as their duty to uphold and protect their nation's sacred sovereignty over the sea and islands.
Vietnamese ambassador to Egypt Nguyễn Huy Dũng has provided an update on the protections of Vietnamese seafarers working on the ship True Confident. Through a verification with Vietnamese representative agencies in Saudi Arabia and other sources, the embassy confirmed that one of the three deceased crew members was Vietnamese, Đặng Duy Kiên, born in 1983 from Hải Phòng. His body is now at a hospital in Djibouti. The remaining three Vietnamese crew members are currently safe in a hotel in the capital. They are in stable health and emotional conditions. The embassy is continuing to verify and implement citizen and consular protections measures according to regulations, with the aim of bringing the three safe crew members and the body of the deceased crew member back to Vietnam as soon as possible. The Djibouti authorities are also prepared to assist the Vietnamese seafarers with any necessary documentations for their return to Vietnam. Coming up next on VTV News, Hanoi renovates degraded public gardens. And surge in domestic flight ticket prices impact travel industry. Salinity intrusions in the Mekong Delta is at its peak and is forecast to continue to remain at a high level until the end of the dry season, around April and May. The largest salinity boundary of 4 grams per liter on the Vam Cỏ Đông and Vam Cỏ Tây River is at 80 to 85 kilometers compared to last year. Salinity penetrates 13 to 15 kilometers deeper. Saline intrusions affect the ability to take water from irrigation works 75 kilometers or less from the sea on high tide dates. Saline intrusions is the risk of affecting nearly 40,000 hectares of rice and more than 43,000 hectares of specialized fruit growing areas in the Mekong Delta. Tiền Giang province is among the areas affected by saline intrusions. However, due to proactive early response plans, the province has been able to ensure an adequate supply of fresh water for its residents up to this point. More to follow.
This public pump is the primary source of domestic water for approximately 40 households. Since before the Lunar New Year, it has supplied nearly 200 cubic meters of fresh water to residents free of charge.
Without this water pump, we wouldn't have enough fresh water to consume.
It's so convenient for us to have a public water pump nearby.
To date, 28 public water taps have been installed in Tiên Giang province to meet the needs of local residents. These taps are situated in saline areas, remote communes lacking water pipelines, and areas with sparse populations.
Thanks to state support in providing a stable water source, we have sufficient water for essential needs such as cooking, bathing, and washing. All in all, we cannot survive without access to fresh water.
The irrigation industry in Tiên Giang province has opened 12 backup wells and operated various pumping stations to supply raw water to factories.
The domestic water pumping stations continue to be deployed. We are coordinating with water supply units to provide people with water for daily use during the dry season.
Based on the progression of saltwater intrusion, the locality will formulate suitable responses. Tiên Giang continues to work towards ensuring stable water access for residents in areas affected by saltwater intrusion.
The Hanoi Tourism Welcomes 2024 Get On Hanoi 2024 program, along with a light show, will take place on Trịnh Công Sơn Walking Street in the Theo district on March 9th. A highlight of this program is a light show featuring 300 drones scheduled for 9:30 p.m. Those interested in viewing the performance can do so from area designated by the organizers. The Hanoi Department of Transport has also arranged for traffic diversions to accommodate the program. The event will span 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Urban public gardens are crucial for fostering healthy and vibrant community, serving as spaces for interactions, exchange, and social activities. In a bid to increase the city green spaces, Hanoi authorities have collaborated with urbanists and experts to renovate deteriorated public gardens and urban parks. This initiative is transforming the city into a more livable and resilient environment.
After renovation, Hanoi Garden has transformed into a popular destination for locals and tourists. It now features 52 points where water sprays automatically from the ground. This automatic water spraying installation has revitalized the previously degraded public garden.
Previously, this area was very dirty. Now that the public garden has been renovated, I'm very glad to see such a beautiful and clean place. Children come here every day to play because it's clean and safe.
Half of these gardens in the Bading district have been restored to cater to local people's need for more open spaces for relaxation and physical activities.
After many discussions with local residents, particularly the elderly, we decided to restore and renovate all the deteriorated public gardens. We have collaborated with experts to implement renovation projects as quickly as possible for the benefit of residents.
Hanoi authorities have undertaken numerous public green landscaping projects to conserve the city's biodiversity. For example, Dien Hồng Garden, located in the Hoàn Kiếm district, has recently been approved as a public green space. Every component of the garden has been renovated and rebuilt to cater to various needs and enhance the aesthetic value of the area.
I think local authorities should invest in renovating old public gardens to create more green spaces for local people.
Before this garden was renovated, I saw many people playing badminton or shuttlecock near the edge of the sidewalk, as the garden was too narrow. This posed a high risk of accidents. But now, Hanoi authorities have invested in expanding public spaces, as they are an inseparable part of the urban fabric.
The local authorities plan to renovate and rebuild 32 public gardens by the end of 2025. The restoration and expansion of these green spaces aim to improve ecological sustainability, promote health, and provide recreational opportunities for the people of Hanoi.
4 Sarus cranes have returned to Cham Chim National Park in Tam Nông District, Đồng Tháp Province. The Park Management Board announced this news on Friday afternoon. The crane spent about 30 minutes landing on the feeding ground. The last sighting of Sarus cranes in Cham Chim National Park was nearly 3 years ago. Currently, the Park Management Board has assigned professional staff to monitor these cranes and supplement additional food sources. This effort aims to foster the protection and growth of this precious bird species. The return of the Sarus cranes indicates positive progress in habitat restoration at the park. As of March 1st, the ceiling price on domestic flight tickets has been raised by approximately 3.75%, according to a circular issued by the Ministry of Transport in December. This adjustment is primarily due to factors that influence ticket prices, particularly increasing fuel costs and exchange rates. However, the higher ticket prices have placed significant pressure on domestic travel businesses as they may deter customer spending on travel. More to follow.
This woman planned to book a tour to the northern region for the upcoming holiday. However, due to flight ticket prices increasing by more than 20%, she altered her plan and decided to visit locations where air travel wasn't necessary.
I'll visit nearby places without traveling by air. Instead, I'll take a bus or use my personal car to save money.
According to the travel company, domestic airfares are rising significantly more than the same period last year. As a result, the prices of domestic tour packages have increased by 10 to 30%.
The prices of domestic tour packages are rising. For those who travel in large groups and book tours in advance, purchasing extra flight tickets will result in higher costs.
Rising flight ticket prices have led individuals to adjust their budgets, with many now favoring self-sufficient and short-distance trips. To increase sales, travel agencies should diversify their tour packages and provide customers with a range of transportation options.
We have diversified our tour packages to meet customer demand. For instance, we have shortened the trips and reduced the number of tourist destinations in certain tour packages.
Head, Travel and Tourism Service Management Program, University of Economics and Finance, Ho Chi Minh City. To improve sales, travel companies should offer discounts on special occasions and encourage early ticket purchases.
Tourism companies estimate that the cost of plane tickets comprises 40 to 60% of a tour's total expense. Consequently, the escalating cost of airfare impacts not just the aviation industry, but also significantly affects tourism companies.
Coming up next in our World News, Palestine dismisses Israel conclusions of Gaza food aid incident investigation. And U.S. Senate passes spending bill. Israel military has stated that its investigation into the fatal humanitarian aid incident in Gaza last month found no evidence of Israeli troops firing at the aid convoy. Instead, they allegedly fired at a number of suspects who appeared to pose a threat to nearby forces. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry swiftly rejected these conclusions on Friday, urging the international community to demand an independent international committee to investigate the incident. Eyewitnesses report that at least 104 people were killed and 750 were injured when Israeli forces allegedly opened fire while Palestinian civilians were waiting for food. The U.S. Senate narrowly avoided a partial government shutdown on Friday by approving a spending legislation just 4 hours before the current funding was set to expire. The Senate passes a $467.5 billion spending package with a bipartisan vote of 75 to 22 to finance agriculture, transportation, housing, energy, veterans, and other programs until the end of the fiscal year on September 30th. After receiving approval from the U.S. House of Representatives on Wednesday, the package now awaits President Joe Biden's signature to become law. Japanese consumer spending in January fell by the most in 35 months, data show on Friday. In January, household spending decreased by 6.3% compared to a previous year, marking the 11th consecutive month of decline, according to data from the Internal Affairs Ministry. This drop was larger than the median market forecast of a 4.3% decline and represented the biggest decrease since February 2021. On a seasonally adjusted month-on-month basis, spending fell 2.1% compared to an estimated increase of 0.4%. This decline was attributed to fewer new car purchases due to factory suspensions, lower energy bills from warm weather, and high spending in the same month last year as a result of post-pandemic travel subsidies. These figures emerge amidst increasing market expectations that the Bank of Japan could abandon negative interest rate as early as this month. An unusual number of common guillemots, seabird cousins to penguins, have been found on French Atlantic shores recently. According to the French League for Birds, over 500 seabirds have been found dead along the French Atlantic coast since the beginning of this year, with no exact explanations to this phenomenon. More to follow.
Common guillemots are part of the Alcidae family of birds. which includes penguins and puffins. These birds are known to feed on fish by diving underwater. They are excellent swimmers but appear clumsy on dry land. The recent beachings happened after storms or strong winds, which tend to exhaust the birds at sea.
We find some almost every day on all the beaches we patrol. We patrol beaches every day of the week and we find guillemots nearly every day. It depends on the weather conditions. It's the same with dolphins, on which we've been working for longer, and the number of beachings really depends on the sea conditions and whether the currents and tides bring them onto shore or take them out at sea.
In La Rochelle, scientists are trying to understand the reasons behind the phenomenon.
With climate change, we see an increase in the frequency and intensity of storms, particularly winter storms. And we know that winter storms are largely the reason for massive strandings of seabirds, not only in France, but throughout Europe, even on the American coast. It is quite common. What we also have is a change in the distribution of the resource, a change in the prey that will be available to birds, which therefore, indirectly, will also have an impact on their energy and therefore on their ability to survive.
According to the French League for Birds, the number of dead guillemots recently found is unprecedented. Over 43,000 birds were found dead or in distress on French beaches along the Atlantic coast, after a succession of storms between the months of January to March 2014.
And now, as usual, let's continue with the weather forecast. All the news for today. To rewatch our program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download a mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.